Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the outdoors. Once again I'm outside filming videos for you from the forest. So if you've been watching my videos regularly over the last few months, you'll notice I've done quite a few videos now on the Line 6 Helix, and you may have noticed in those videos in the background the Line 6 Powercab, which you will have seen in the videos but you haven't heard until today, because today we're looking at the Line 6 Powercab, but more specifically we are going to see if the Line 6 Powercab can hang with a live band. Can the Powercab be used as a backline amp? That's what we're going to try and find out today. And in order to try and find out, I took my Helix and my Powercab to a jam night that I was asked to be the house guitarist for, and set it up there to do my testing. So in this video you'll see some other people playing, because obviously I had to film it, and I had their permission to film them and use it in the video. It's quite dark, here we go, into the light. So I'm not going to delve too deeply into the features of the Powercab. I'm going to be a bit more specific, and today we're going to deal with the speaker simulations. So in case you don't know, there are a number of what we call FR cabinets out there that you can use with your modeler. But what they do is amplify the sound of your impulse responses. Your impulse response is a digital capture of the speaker that you're using, the cabinet, including the speakers, and the microphones that we use to record it in whatever room you're recording in. That's not what the Powercab does. What the Powercab is meant to simulate are the speakers inside your cab. Now the reason that's important is some people complain that when you use modelers, it doesn't sound like your amp. It sounds like a recording of your amp. You'll hear that a lot, and it's true, it does. Doesn't mean it doesn't sound good, because it does sound good, but it doesn't quite have that feel. So the Powercab tries to address this by creating speaker simulations. So when you use it in your band, it should sound like your amp of choice is with you in the room. Now you've got to remember that the Powercab is only a 1x12 speaker. There is a 2x12 available as well, but I've only got the 1x12. So you're not going to get the sound of a 4x12 on stage. Although I would be tempted to get another Powercab and run it in stereo and have essentially a 2x12 on stage. But can the Powercab deliver? Can it sound like an amp on stage? Let's find out. So what are my fears about this test? What are my fears about the Powercab being used with a band? One, it's not going to be loud enough. Also, I'm scared that, like with some other amps that I've used, some non-tube amps that I've used, it tends to get lost in all the sound. So on its own will sound nice, but in the context of a band will just turn into fizz. Will the Powercab be struggling to keep up? But that's what we're going to find out. So let's look at my setup. All right, so tonight's setup, we have the Helix, Line 6 Helix. That blue cable coming out the back is not the L6 cable that Line 6 make, because it's too expensive. That is a, what do you call it again, AES cable. There's another longer name for it, but I can't remember. That goes all the way, plug into the back of this thing here, the Line 6 Powercab. Now I've got it set to be used with the speaker simulations, and what we're going to test tonight is how well does it work next to a drum kit and a drummer. And if the drummer doesn't mind me putting him on video,
No, I'm sure I'm doing live. Yeah.
But he's just turned his head anyway.
Yeah.
There's our lovely drummer tonight. He's the one I'm going to be going up against. So as you will have noticed in that last little clip, there's a lot of background noise. So I apologise for that. Right, so enough of me yakking. Let's listen to it. Just to let you know, the audio is recorded with the camera I'm using now, the Sony ZV-1 or ZV-1 for our American brothers and sisters. There may be a couple of wide shots taken with my phone, but the audio will be coming from this mic that I'm filming on now, and will be reasonably close to the stage. I wanted to try and get the sound of the actual Powercab speaker. And full disclosure, in this jam night they do plug the Helix into the PA as well. So you are probably hearing some PA sound, which is not the Powercab sound. That's why I tried to get it close. That's why I tried to get the microphone and the camera close to the Powercab to try and get that sound. So hopefully it comes across. It's not the best test, but it was the best I could do at the time. So I hope it works out for you. I hope it gives you an idea of what you're going to be hearing. How did that sound?
It sounded quite good, yeah. I think it could do. It's pretty good on single coils.
Would you use it on a gig to set this out?
Yeah, probably would, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So one thing I like in particular about the Powercab is that it's very light. And as I get older, I want my gear to be lighter. I don't want to be lugging around loads of gear, especially if your car is far away from the venue. How heavy is that, Lee?
So I was trying to do it with two fingers, one finger, but I need two fingers.
No, it can't be loud.
Two fingers. We like that, don't we?
Can't be loud.
How do you find it?
I think the range of it is quite incredible. All from the really twangy cleans until you've got some real dirt on it. I think the actual cab itself is quite flexible. There's a good range of stuff, and even in the pub environment, it will cut straight through. It's just a very convenient unit, and you can hear it from all the way to the back of the pub, which for quite a crowd actually says something. So with the clarity that it's got, you can really service many a gig in probably quite a range of environments as well.
So do you think it works when you've got a loud drummer next to you?
Especially with a loud drummer next to you. I think
It was just about the right volume on stage.
Yeah.
Just a few comments. Brian, you sounded great going through the PA. I understand that was from the cabinet emulated sound from the Helix.
Yeah, so that's got a separate feed to what the PA would have.
That's right. So I was chatting to you earlier about it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you had the unfiltered sound of the Helix going into this with the cabinet seems.
Yeah.
So not too heavy, and plenty of volume on stage. It sounded great through the PA. You were running in mono tonight. I'm sure stereo would be great. When I played my one song earlier through this, it was nice and chewy, so it felt quite like a valve amp. For playing on stage, it was just enough volume, just about right. Not neither too loud nor too quiet.
I'd love for you to have gone on to do another one, just to, you know, really
Maybe
work
2022.
it. Yeah.
No, that's seriously. It felt nice and chewy. You know, I'm a valve amp enthusiast, so it felt nice and chewy without being too compressed. Chewiness can sound a bit over compressed, but it sounded good.
Did it feel like there was an actual amp on stage with you?
Yeah, I think that's what most people that try and Kempers and Helixes, that sort of thing, they want something that feels, not just sounds right. Because line six have got all the tones right, but it's getting the feel right, isn't it? So yeah, it feels like you've got an amp there. There's enough projection. We had Odie on drums, who's quite a loud drummer, isn't he? That's not a criticism, but Odie's a loud drummer. And finally, what I find is, because I do quite a lot of Jerry work, I do all sorts of work, but when I'm working with backing tracks occasionally, it's okay, but when you're playing with a live drummer, you need something that cuts through. So I imagine that's what most of you are wondering, whether this cuts through and it feels like you've got some punch there. Good, great.
Thank you, Lee.
Keep it up, Brian. Keep up the great work.
So you've heard some opinions there from some guitarists who came down to the jam that night. They seem to be favourable of it. Although George, I'm wondering if he felt pressured into saying that it was a good product. I don't know. But what do I think? So in terms of sound, I thought the sound was good, was there. Was it loud enough? Yeah, I still had some headroom left to turn up more, although I did find myself most of the night between about 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, maybe 3 on the louder occasions. I was standing right next to the drummer, so I guess it was a good test for that. But I did find myself between about 12 and 2 o'clock. In my head, I feel like I could have done with having a bit more headroom. Would I use it live? Yes. As it stands at the moment, yes. I probably need to do a few more gigs with it, or go to a few more jams with it, to really get a sense of it, because the previous jam that I did with that band, I brought my Mesa Boogie Mark 535 amp, and I was afraid that wasn't going to be loud enough because it was only the one speaker and some, but it was plenty loud enough. I think the master volume wasn't even halfway. But does it feel better than a tube amp? I wouldn't say it feels better. Does it feel good enough? I think so, but I'd like to reserve judgment, to be honest. I need to do a few more tests with it. You've got to remember, it's a jam night. I'm not playing all night. I'm the house guitarist at a jam night. I'm not playing all night. And not every song is going to be a rock song. And you're constantly thinking about gear as well. So, yes, it needs more testing, but at the moment, yeah, it's favourable. The sound is pretty good. If I was doing a non-rock gig, I think I would be happy with the sound. If it was more like a blues gig or an R&B gig or something a bit more like a pop gig, where I needed it as a backline, I think I would be very happy with it. So there you go. That's my video on the Line 6 Powercab. I hope that was informative for you, and I hope it helped answer some of your questions, if you even had any in the first place. But it's definitely an interesting choice in terms of having a speaker to go with your modeler, because you get the added benefit of speaker simulations as opposed to just an FR speaker environment. So you've heard my opinions, you've heard the opinions of some other guitarists, including the esteemed Lee Hodgson, who was a teacher of mine at music college, and also you will have probably read a lot of his columns in Guitar Techniques magazine. I'd like to thank the Admiral Vernon in Dagenham and the house band for letting me sit in with them and for letting me film that evening as well. And if you have any questions about the Powercab, the Helix, or any questions in general, please let me know in the comments below. Also, please consider liking this video if you found it useful, and also please consider subscribing to my channel, as I'm still trying to reach my first 1,000 subscribers, my first landmark, and I need your help to get there. But thank you for watching. Thank you if you got this far. You're a trooper. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.